Good morning. My name's Keith Diggs. That's D-I-G-G-S. I'm an attorney with the Institute for Justice, and we're here today with our clients, Abdi Kadir Abdisalan and Abdullahi Hassan, to announce our participation in a baseless lawsuit filed by the taxi companies in San Diego to stop MTS from issuing new taxi cab permits under the new policy promulgated by the City Council of San Diego last fall. The Institute for Justice has over 20 years of experience in transportation lawsuits, and we've defended against similar lawsuits like this in Minneapolis and Milwaukee. The lawsuit brought by the taxi companies today follows a decision by the City Council after months of petitioning of the City Council by drivers like Abdi and Abdullahi to get them to lift a long-standing cap on taxi medallion permits that had basically allowed that had concentrated market power in a very limited number of taxi medallion holders. This caused severe problems for drivers like Abdi and Abdullahi, who've had to pay hundreds of dollars per week just to drive a taxi permit. Our clients are two of the many drivers who are ready, willing, and able to go through the new permitting process. They've filed letters of intent with MTS, and they are currently working on business plans to operate their own taxi cabs as soon as MTS issues them. We're here today to make sure that the taxi companies can't put a stop to this lawsuit. They filed a claim under the California Environmental Quality Act, alleging that MTS did not conduct enough environmental studies. But the act is not designed to shut out your competition. It's designed to protect the environment, and all MTS is doing is issuing a new paper process that will allow new low and zero-emission vehicles to go on the roads. Right now, the case is ongoing. It's still being argued in the courtroom, but we're very optimistic that the judge will deny their request for a preliminary injunction, and we're very confident that we will be allowed to intervene in the lawsuit to defend our interests. I'm going to turn it over now to my client, Abdi, who can tell you about his experience driving a cab and his plans to go forward under the new process. Abdi?
Hi, good morning. My name is Abdi Kadir Abdisalan. First of all, I'm going to give you my first name. A as in apple, B as in boy, D as in David, I as in India, K as in kite, A as in apple, D as in David, I as in India, D as in R as in Rob. And Abdisalan, A as in apple, B as in boy, D as in David, S as in I as in India, S as in Sam, A as in apple, L as in Larry, A as in apple, N as in Nancy. I am one of the petitioners. I'm one of the interveners on this case. I'm one of the taxi drivers. Have been driving a taxi for the last 9 years in the city of San Diego. We have been fighting for this purpose to become a small business owners so that we can all, as taxi drivers, can have the opportunity to drive our own vehicles and not have a middleman that's in the middle of us. As it goes, the medallions.
Not sure.
To hold it for you?
They set it on top of mine there on the right
Me to
hand
hold it?
side.
It stays in place once.
There we go.
There we go.
So, as
So
you.
it gets squared up and
Oh, okay.
It'll be worth your while.
Okay.
Greater return on investment.
You okay there?
I think so. Hey, you guys mind giving me a name?
My name is Keith, K-E-I-T-H, Diggs, D-I-G-G-S. I'm an attorney with the Institute for Justice.
Hey, Eric, you've got a release for adults. Go ahead.
My name is a little longer than that. It's Abdi Kadir Abdisalan. A as in apple, B as in boy, D as in David, I as in India, S as in Sam, L as in A as in apple, L as in Larry, A as in apple, N as in Nancy. And Abdi Kadir, A as in apple, B as in boy, D as in David, I as in India, S as in Sam, L as in Larry, N as in Nancy. And we're here today basically to get this injunction that is going to deny us from going forward. Most of us taxi drivers that are on the road right now, hundreds of taxi drivers that we are representing, me and my friend Abdullahi, are ready to go to start their own taxi business. They have filed the letters of intent on March, and we also did that. And right now, all that we have in front of us is this case, and at this issue. And if we can get this out of the way, we can get things rolling so that we can start our own businesses.
We'll take questions now if you guys have any.
The argument up there right now is CEQA Act. What's your response to that? The plaintiffs are concerned that CEQA is a
Respond to that one?
needs to be dealt with. There needs to be a CEQA standard.
No California court or administrative agency has ever held that a taxi cab regulation standing alone is a project within the meaning of the California Environmental Quality Act. The Environmental Quality Act was not designed to allow people to shut out their economic competition. It was designed to protect the environment, and there is no environmental harm that will come as a result of the MTS permitting process that's about to go forward, assuming this injunction is denied.
Question for Abdi and Abdullahi. Is it fair to call the opponents or the petitioners in this action a cartel? Have they been operating as a cartel for all these years?
I don't know if that's the case, but
Does the system lead to cartel operation?
there's a black market that was in existence, and the drivers that were able to start a taxi business in the city of San Diego was sort of kind of blocked out in terms of the price of that was just going up without no control.
Besides the cap on this, what other activities that they have done? And tell me about the hardships that have been imposed under the system, or that they have done themselves, actively speaking, to keep you out of the market.
Well, for one, is that as a driver, the medallions themselves are a property of the city of San Diego, and I'm a citizen. The city of San Diego has decided that drivers like me can be able to start their own taxi business, and the companies that are now have the cabs now are trying to basically block it so that I won't be able to start my own business, and that is what is at stake right now. Most of our drivers at the city level, when it comes to the medallion itself, it's $3,000 or something, but in the black market it's $150,000, and we don't have the means to buy one medallion for that sort of price. We have a family to lead. We are leasing vehicles that are actually now causing a lot of issues in the roads. The vehicles to come, as they say, the vehicles that are going to be coming on the road are going to be vehicles that are hybrids, low emissions, and we'll have low emission vehicles and zero emission cars. So the ones that are on the road now are the actual ones that should be taken off the roads.
If you in fact prevail, and counsel, you can speak to going to the District Court of Appeal. I'm imagining they're not going to just accept this ruling. Do you fear some sort of, let's just say, other methods of intimidation or things that would somehow sabotage your efforts if you're able to go ahead and they don't get a restraining order against you pending appeal? Is the competition such that you have any fears going forward as independent operators or your companies?
The main fear that we all have as taxi drivers is that we don't have no say at what goes on. As a business, we have a taxi license, we have a business license through the city of San Diego, and then we go to an individual that owns a cab and we lease the cab from them. So getting involved in this kind of cases, the backlash can be that they could take the vehicles away from us. And that is what the problem is. We would like to have our own taxis, we would like to have our own business to start it, so that fear is out of the way and everybody's equal.
Like that, sir?
Paint a picture for me what would happen to the taxi cab industry if the medallions were basically unrestricted.
Well, that's what's, if I understand your question correctly, that's actually what the City Council has decided to do. They've decided to lift the cap and the old formula that basically set a set number on the number of permits that would be circulating in San Diego. What's happening now is that the city has decided correctly that it should be consumers, not the city or current medallion holders, who decide how many taxi cabs there should be on the roads in San Diego.
So paint a picture for me though, in the future going forward, what it'll be like. I mean, what is it like now compared to what it will be? Don't you want to kick the taxi driver?
Yeah, sure. Going forward, what it's going to look like, drivers like my clients are going to be able to go into business for themselves without having to deal with an arbitrary cap that forces them into a lease situation which isn't working for them. it's going to allow the best drivers, such as my clients, to succeed in the marketplace. And it's no decision, the city basically has no say in who should be driving and who shouldn't. That should be the market's decision.
Well,
you can talk too.
Yeah, as far as the, let's say a number, what I'm learning about this, getting involved, as far as being involved in this case, is that there's about 1,000 or 800 cabs that have been requested by drivers that are on the road now. There's about 993 cabs that are on the road as we speak. What it means is that a lot of the drivers that are driving those cars pretty much will shift to their own vehicles and will have their own taxis. So the number might just switch out to drivers that are driving their own cars and better cars at the same time. Drivers that are not working ridiculous hours like 70 hours a week and making minimum wage or less than minimum wage. As I don't know if you have read the report that came out of the CPI and San Diego State, which states that a lot of drivers were making $4.45, which is less than minimum wage, even though they worked 70 hours. So what's going to happen is the drivers that will have their own cars will have more say in their hours, and so they don't have to worry about the lease that is on top of them every day when they wake up.
But isn't there a fear that with twice as many cabs out there as what you're stating, basically, as soon as double, that there's going to be more competition and that would lower the amount that you can make there?
Well, there's already a lot of competition in the city. There's nothing wrong with competition. I have a business listing, a couple of business listings to compete for my own self, and I know that we have things in place that as drivers we're coming together to better our business practice, that how we conduct ourselves in the city of San Diego. We have a better hours, and as far as competition goes and the cabs that are coming into the city, the number that are on the road now, if a driver is not driving that cab that he was driving before, and the owner that owns 10 or 15 cabs cannot drive those cabs, pretty much I would think that he will turn those medallions into the city of San Diego or the MTS, because he might not be able to pay for the insurance and all the fees that he has to pay for. So it will shift to the driver who's determining his own destiny.
The petitioners in this lawsuit have also filed a declaration, which they have since withdrawn, saying that they themselves would be fine if the cap were lifted because their business is so successful and they're not worried about the competition. Okay, we can get off. Yeah.
Chris, come. So we, the United Tax Workers of San Diego, my name is Mikhail Hussein. I'm the founding director, United Tax Workers of San Diego. Mikhail, M-I-K-A-I-I-L, Mikhail, H-U-S-S-E-I-N, Hussein. So one thing I want to say before I give it to Chris. We are very proud. We work very hard, 5 years. The dream come true. You know, this is something we initiated, a small room outside of San Diego, borderline La Mesa. We are sitting a group of people on the floor. That's where we started the advocacy in order to lift the cap on opportunity for taxi drivers. And today we are very happy. The judge probably is gonna resign right now. I want to pass to Chris to the rest of our say. Chris, welcome.
Hi, my name is Christopher Morse, C-H-R-I-S-M-O-R-S-E. I'm the legal intern for the United Taxi Workers of San Diego. This lawsuit that we're involved in currently is a representation of the conflict and strife that has been harming the interests of consumers for the past few decades. I believe that Judge Prager will take the right action in denying this preliminary injunction and allowing the open permit process to move forward. This process will allow drivers to be accountable for the services they provide directly to San Diego consumers. I believe that the actors who are engaged in trying to stop this process are the same ones who have put us in this position where the industry is now being taken over by many transportation apps. This lawsuit is important for many of the lease drivers, and I believe that with our continued fight, we can make a positive change on the taxi industry. Thank you.
Any question?
Yeah, was the city system
Practically, the way MTS had their regulations, a lot of it was based on business-to-business relationships that in effect just gave advantages to those already entrenched in the industry. And with consumers so dissatisfied with how taxi service is being provided, it doesn't make sense to keep an industry in place where consumers aren't being met.
Were there abuses of passengers that were taking place, pricing and all kinds of things have there been under the current system? What has been the problem with notice, say, free competition, better competition, maybe?
Under the current system, there's been year-long lease prices that have been remaining in effect throughout the whole year. This doesn't take into account consumer demand and tourism surplus and oversurplus. Because of this, a lot of money that could be put into better cabs, better services, better advertisement is just going back into permit holders' lease pockets. Money that could be used to help make better cabs are going straight into permit holders, and this has been the case for the past few decades, and this lawsuit hopefully will put an end to that.
For the customers, will this be a better, safer experience? Will it also provide the competition and restore the taxi industry's competitiveness vis-a-vis Uber, Lyft, etc.?
Exactly. The increased competition with the open permit process will allow taxi drivers to compete on customer service, better taxi cab vehicles, and other things that can help consumer satisfaction rise dramatically. And I think this is the only way for them to compete with transportation apps such as Uber and Lyft that are really making a mark on the San Diego transportation industry.
So thank you.